BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source for every three-pointer to hat trick. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Bet.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, running like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this, and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the mighty Who That Nation, man. Welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. What's popping? Big ups to the mighty Who That Nation, man. We up in this thing, representing the great Saint Think Tank, man. It's Thursday night, man. Shout out to the fam. We up in this thing, man. Appreciate y'all. Do your guy a service, man. Hit the like button. If you're not a sub up and share, man. Much love to you guys. Appreciate you for being in the live. Also, I want to give a shout out to Muse, who did a cash app at the end of the last stream. I just wanted to give her a shout out. Trinity Montoya, much love to you. Appreciate you guys for being in the stream. And of course, tonight's stream, man, I'm going to try not to keep you guys long. I know it's late. I'm coming at you guys at 10:30 Central Time, my way. And just wanted to talk Saints at you guys, man. Kind of a busy day. That's why I'm getting to you guys late. Hope I'm not disturbing your peace. Shout out to you guys. All right, what's up, Antoinette? Shout out to you. Good to see you. Much love. OG Jerry is in the building as well. Good to see you. Shout out to my girl, Deborah. Much love to you, Queen. Appreciate you. Much love. All right, Muse. Shout out to you. Appreciate you as always. Chantel, big ups to you. Much love. Super Saints fan is in the building. Antoinette, shout out to you as well. Good to see you. Brother Wendell is in this thing as well. Good to see you, brother. Appreciate you as always. Much love to everybody, man. All right, Super Saints fan says, Big Q, I think Mickey trying to give Kellen something to work with in his first run as the head coach. Cap space plus he at all of the major pro days. I mean, he has nothing else to do, you know, and this is pretty much what Mickey Loomis is supposed to do. He's supposed to be the general manager, but that's his job description. Is he's supposed to be at the pro day. He takes free trips around and really don't know what he's doing. He just allows the staff like people like Jeff Ireland to go and do their jobs and scout this great talent. And my only thing about the Saints with the scouting situation that occurred is that perhaps the Saints coming with Kellen Moore, there might be a philosophy shift insofar as the Saints are starting to look more in their own backyards. I think for a while the Saints have been severely undervaluing Tulane University, LSU, that's right up the road, and several of our really good, solid universal institutions here in terms of football. We have, for year after year, we have some of the best football. No disrespect to anybody else's programs, but talking about homegrown talent and people from the Louisiana community, the Saints should have a stronghold insofar as looking at the talent here. And year after year, you see a lot of the talent goes elsewhere, to Atlanta, to Carolina, and all these other places, and they come back and make it difficult for you. We often, under the Sean Payton era, we always want to run up that Ohio State all the time. With Kellen Moore taking over the team, perhaps some of the philosophy goes back to the SEC, like they were picking Georgia players like boom, boom, like it was a factory. Perhaps this could be something we would be enticed to do with Kellen Moore, looking back at that. So perhaps that could be something we can look at doing, man, looking at these pro days. But yeah, he's doing what he's supposed to do. The cap situation is a very good too, Super Saints fan, man. You're absolutely right. That's why I got it on screen. According to over the cap, it's over $30 million. And that's because of all of the reworkings of everything. So it's basically just reworked it, freed up everything. Because the conservative estimations, I talked to about you guys with this prior to all this happening, was the estimations conservatively was between $15 to $20 million in relief. The Saints then beat that by $10 million. But, there's a cost. There's a cost. Look where you are. And this is why I do this, because you get happy about 2025. But remember, you have to be able to be competitive and smart enough to win now with the resources, because the Saints are not a bottomed out, burnt out unit. They're not. They have just been out. And that's the point I've been saying about this whole thing about the Saints that Mickey Loomis has, is it's just been injuries the main reason why we're losing. That's not true. And he knows it's not true. He knows that's not true. Because if you were really serious and you pinpointed injuries as an issue, then you would do everything within your power to bring in better doctors and whatever you got to do to stop the injuries from stifling your development from year to year. They even know they're not supposed to use injuries as an excuse. They said at the start of the year, by the end of the year, you got Mickey and Cam and all of them saying it. But like I said, somebody can capture it, because every year they started off with injuries. They started the year off by saying it. It's really ridiculous to me. By the end of the year, all of them digging into the injury bag to justify it. That wasn't the sole reason why the Saints were unsuccessful the last 4 years. It's been poor decision making, poor coaching, and no accountability. They will not dare say that. They wouldn't dare say that. But 30 million here this year seems good, but where do you get it from? It dips out, and you look at 2026, you're already $18 million in the hole. You see, it's the kick in the can. The old guy don't know what else to do. But can it translate into success? If you can get the right coaches here and build an identity for the team and be accountable and all this kind of stuff, then you can have success. The Saints are not a burnt out team. They're really not. They're just poorly coached. And you got people that are now adopting to a losing, failing, garbage time culture. And they even wrapping their big stinking arms around it and holding it close to their bosom while screaming out injuries, injuries, injuries. No, it's enough is enough, man. If they can't say it, then we'll say it. We'll continue to say it. All right, big ups to y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. Much love as well, man. Everybody, all the Queens repping. What's up, Jaden? Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you, Molly Mall. What's up, Tasha, baby? Shout out to Tasha, my dog, Big Sean. Claude, shout out to you, brother Gundam. Shout out to you, my brother. Appreciate you. Quivadius, what's happening, my man? Appreciate you as well in the stream. And big ups to everybody, man. What's up, brother Tyrell? Backwoods is in this thing. Brother Tyrell says, Q, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling they will go QB in the first round, whether they trade up to get Ward or Sanders remains to be seen. Hey, bro, listen, they can go anywhere because the situation is what they're doing, man, to be quite honest with you. And like I said, there's still needs that the Saints could use. There's still depth concerns. as far as is what I'm looking at. But some of the more pressing issues, like you look at the guard position, Dylan Raddatz was the latest signing from Tennessee. This guy has a lot of experience. He started 15 games last year for the Titans. I would consider him an upgrade over Lucas Patrick. I would consider him an upgrade over Nick Saldiveri. I would consider him an upgrade there. They signed him to a 1-year deal. Only time will tell what that looks like. But I would still focus on the line. I still would focus on the offensive line. But they can, idealistically, they can go anywhere. They can go anywhere in this draft. They can go quarterback. And I think Kellen Moore is definitely looking at it. Mickey Loomis is definitely giving them the say, yeah, if you want a quarterback, we'll take a quarterback. They have $30-something million in cap relief now. They got a ton of draft picks right now. So if done correctly, they could be able to make some moves to improve the team, not just next year and get back to winning, but also into the future. I mean, they really could. If they do it right, baby, if they do it right, because they're, we'll talk about that in this stream. I don't want to get sidetracked with it. But big ups to you guys. We'll cover that, my man. Appreciate you for dropping that. All right. Jaden says, Q, I do not want to trade up in 2025. Do you want to trade up? Yes or no? Trading up for what? What are we looking for? Are we looking for a player like a game-changing player like Ted McMillan? Why not? I would look at that. I heard what Chris Olave's brother said online, and I respect Chris Olave's brother. I think he's looking out for his brother, and he says what Chris Olave can't say, a lot of times. And I agree with a lot of stuff that he says, but at the same time, I still believe that Chris Olave should be in the Saints' future plans. I think Chris Olave is an excellent wide receiver, but I still say he needs a compliment. And Brandon Cooks is not it. The problem with the Saints, we've seen it where they were trying to get a big physical wide receiver and they failed. I don't know why MVS wasn't the dude, or why the Saints didn't position themselves in free agency to go after a wide receiver to complement Chris Olave, as opposed to bringing Brandon Cooks in on a 2-year deal worth $13 million. I just don't understand that. He's not the right fit for what you're trying to do unless you're trying to make Chris Olave the one, and I just don't see him in that way. No disrespect to Chris Olave, but he's betterly served by having a big physical wide receiver opposite of him and having Rashid Shaheed operate out as the third wide receiver facing their nickel back. You see? So unless they doing a lot of 4 wide receiver sets or something like that, I don't get the Cooks thing. But in the end, I think Ted McMillan makes sense for the Saints if they're not going to get anybody else. And there could be several players the Saints could pivot to. Obviously, they're interested in a quarterback. Kellen Moore wants his quarterback. He's a quarterback himself, and he figures, hey, I got to have a guy that mirrors me. I don't think Cam Ward's the guy, though. I would not give up what the Titans are asking for Cam Ward. It's just ridiculous what they're asking for him. Here's the article right here. We can just jump into that. Titans seek astronomical price to trade the 2025 draft first overall pick. Shout out to Saints Wire. Saints sent a whole contingent to Coral Gables for the Miami Hurricanes Pro Day to start this week, including Kellen Moore, Mickey Loomis. The move was the clear sign of the team's interest in Cam Ward. There are other players who should have interest in present, but this type of turnout reserved for a first overall pick. Ward has expressed it would be a dream to play for the Saints, but it takes 2 to tango. The Titans aren't making it easier. Speaking with 1025, the game on Nashville Thursday, Yahoo Sports senior NFL reporter Charles Robinson said the Titans are looking for 3 first-round picks or something of that value just to move back to 3rd overall with the Giants. That seems extreme, but the tax for a franchise quarterback and a first overall pick can inflate the trade value. Are you willing to submit 3 first-round picks? A lot of people saying, hey, Q, let's throw Derek Carr in there. They don't want Derek Carr. They don't want Derek Carr. They don't want Derek Carr. They want some picks. This is a team that wants draft value, and they want 3 first-round picks. I am not giving up 3 first-round picks for Cam Ward. I like Cam Ward a lot, but I am not surrendering 3 first-round picks for Cam Ward. Let's see what Shador does. Because like I said, Cam Ward is good, but for a while, Shedeur Sanders has been ranked over him. And the only reason why Shedeur has slid is because he did not participate in the wretched NFL combine. He did not compete. He did not participate insofar as throwing passes and all that. Now, he did interview. He did talk to people. But at the end of the day, he himself did not throw passes and all this kind of stuff. He didn't do the physical stuff. And that is the reason why he dropped, which he shouldn't have dropped, because it's not like, okay, we don't know what he can do. He did that because he understood that I have 4 years of film. You know exactly who I am and what I can do. I've given you 4 years of football for you to investigate, study, and all this kind of stuff. So for a while, Shedeur has been over Cam Ward. I would be smarter logically. Logically, I would just see where Shedeur is before I say, okay, if the Titans love Cam Ward that much for 3 first-round picks from the Giants, not from the Saints at 9, it'll be more than that from you. They saying that about the Giants to move up. No, absolutely not. And then on top of that, we'll get into it, but there are other quarterbacks the Saints fancy. If Shedeur is there at 9, I'm pretty sure they would take him because he is a franchise quarterback. He would make a lot of sense for the Saints. He has the leadership ability. He can throw every pass. He's smooth. He's intelligent. At times, he tends to kind of hold on to the ball and study upon something. But you got to, as a quarterback coach and a quarterback, you can work with him on that. But he is in the mold of a franchise quarterback. And then the third guy, obviously, would be Jackson Dart, who would definitely be there. So it's a question mark of Cam. It's a question mark of Shedeur, but it's definitely a Jackson Dart will be there at 9 if the Saints see him. Now, the only question is, do you take Dart at 9? Is that too high for Dart? And Dart's winning over a lot of people. But people say, Q, let's trade this guy. They don't want Derek Carr. They don't want Derek Carr. They don't want that. A lot of people know who Derek Carr is. They don't want Derek Carr. They don't want his price tag. They don't want his price tag. The word is out on Derek Carr. Like you had the last couple of years, the word's out on they don't want Derek Carr. They don't want Derek Carr. And people are not in there wrong to feel the way they do about Derek Carr. They're not. They really aren't, man. Now, all the name calling and all that, I'll leave that to them. But I get the frustration. $150 million and you're not even close to sniffing the playoffs, that somebody got to take that pressure. We know it ain't going to be Mickey Loomis. But anyway, 3 first-round draft picks for him is absolutely not something that we want to look at. We'll see what Shedeur at, and if Shedeur is not there, you'll look at Jackson Dart. Either one of those guys will be good players for you. It's levels to it. But at the end of the day, the Saints are definitely looking at everything. So let's kind of move into it, man. To get going into some of this stuff here. And hold on, let me see if I can pull this up first here. This is one, and there's a couple articles. Shout out to a guy, Kyle Mosley, and his team over there. And y'all just hit y'all questions. I'm going to get to it as soon as I can. Saints showing serious interest in 21-year-old superstar. Saints have a chance to add some superstar talent. And it says Saints were with Kellen Moore and I, the team coach, more quickly after the Super Bowl, has already been pretty busy in the offseason, has shown no inclination to rebuild, and instead has doubled down on the roster. The Saints have minimized turnover and added other pieces as well, Justin Reed and Brandon Cooks. Saints have been busy, but will, handle how they'll handle the draft. Will Moore look to an offensive weapon at 9? Could the team look at adding a defensive player like Will Johnson? All those options are open. I mean, they really could do the best player available approach depending on the draft board that Jeff Ireland and others have constructed. They could really do that. At 9, you can get a really good player. You can get a starting level offensive lineman. You can get a starting, a really good Ted McMillan if you want him. The question is, would I move up Jaden for one of these guys? I would move up for one of them, bro. I would trade up a little bit to see if I can. If Ted McMillan is within a couple of picks from me, and he slid down, I would go get Ted McMillan. That's a game changer right there. And that'll electrify your offense, push Chris Olave to the position, and Rashid Shaheed and all this. That would electrify your position there. Now, if guys start falling down there, I think he'd be, if I think about it, he'd probably be the only guy that I would go up there to bring here, because Saints need some more firepower offensively speaking. If you cross reference the transactions between what we've seen defensively and offensively, you can see that the defensive definitely got more work, got more love than the offense. The only other really offensive move that you could talk about that is really of impact was the Dylan Runnels signing. Signing Dylan Runnels could put him in position. He should be the starting guard there, because what's his name? Seldaveri is come on. Seldaveri he can't stay healthy. He should be a backup at this point. You got a guy that has 4 years of NFL experience. He's still relatively young. He's a young offensive lineman, more of a kind of a run guard than pass guard, but you could be worked on. He should be penciled in at that other guard position. But like I said, it's he's the only significant. Well, I ain't gonna say significant. I don't want to make anybody feel smaller than what they are. But when we talk about in reference of players that have impact as starters, Runnels is the only guy there you can look at out of all of the signings that the Saints have brought on, in terms of, we know Brandon Cooks, what he's going to do. But as far as the offensive line, Dunnett, and then the rest of those guys like Jake Stahl and Velus Johnson Jr., and those are backups. Those are depth guys, right? But in terms of impact guys to the offense, not too much. You could talk about Justin Reed and all these other guys, but the offense still needs some work as well, in my view. But inside of this article, KTVB sports director out of Boise shared that the Saints running back coach Joel Thomas traveled to Boise to get a look at Boise superstar Ashton Jeanty, and the two went out to dinner on this past Tuesday. So what level of interest do the Saints have in former Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty? Joel Thomas traveled up there to take a look at him and for the pro day, and they went out to eat dinner. So, I mean, they'll be doing this with a lot of these players. And listen, I think he'll be, well, it could be, because a lot of rumor reveals is saying that the Raiders are looking at him. He could end up with the Raiders, and he'll be phenomenal with them. As you know, Geno Smith is now there. You got Pete Carroll there. So to get a featured back like Ashton Jeanty, he might not be there. The Las Vegas Raiders could possibly have pilfered him. The Patriots look a little different now. They added Stephon Diggs to go along. So what are they looking like? Could they also be in the mix for him, or do they go to the offensive line? So things kind of change a bit. So I don't know if Jeanty goes to the Saints at 9, right? But still in all, this is the due diligence that the Saints do every year when it's time to go out and start meeting some of these guys. But like we talked about and covered, especially on Patreon, fam, it's a ton of really good running backs in this draft. You know, we did a breakdown there, and I showed footage and stuff, and we just did the shout out to the Patreon family members. We did the safety breakdown. We covered a bunch of safety breakdowns in the second mock draft, which was pretty phenomenal. That mock draft, the latest edition of that, was pretty phenomenal, how the cards fell for us to get those players, man. So that was pretty good, man, to be honest with you as well. All right. Thank you, Derek. His card. Happy feet in the pocket, seeing goals. He's the NFL scariest quarterback. No disrespect, but the man just is, you know, he got PTSD in the pocket, man, for real, man. He battle damaged. Saints reportedly eyeing massive prospect. What will the Saints do? Now, of course, this is also another article. Shout out to Kyle T. Mosley. Says the Saints have been busy over the few weeks, quickly coming up on the draft. Kicking off in Green Bay and Wisconsin on April the 24th. The Saints have the 9th pick in the draft and has been one that has been talked about the most. Will the Saints take? Who would they take in the first round? Could it be an offensive player like Tyler Warren or maybe Shedeur Sanders? What about a defensive guy like Will Johnson or Michael Williams? What about that? Who knows this? Who knows? One guy that he says the Saints reportedly were checking in on is offensive tackle Charles Grant out of William and Mary, according to Nick Underhill. Shout out to Nick Underhill. The Saints were at William and Mary yesterday checking out Charles Grant, the offensive tackle. Now he's 6'5", 300-pound plus, got a massive wingspan there. And he said he's been talked about pretty much. And and this is another thing Saints could do it good is looking at these small school prospects. They find them. Josiah Izrahim is another. You know, we find these small school prospect offensive linemen that we come in and try to gear them up. He's a guy who hasn't been talked about that much, and he mentioned him as the 9th ranked offensive tackle prospect in the ESPN's class. 41 games at the left tackle position. Quick, long arms, change of direction well. He's a pass blocker. Rod speed rushes past the quarterback and mirror defenders who try to cross his face. Cran is strong enough to anchor. Use big hands to lock out. He played zone-heavy scheme in college, and joining a similar system at the next level will lead to an easier transition. That's what we want. We want to pick up players, kind of the inside thing, that wherever you go to look at some of these players, you always want to make sure you have players that fit, that fit the scheme, of have some familiarity with the scheme that you're running, or they have a high IQ. They're known to be a high IQ high IQ player rather, who can pick up very fast. Because like I said, you're on the clock. You draft these guys and you got 3 to 4 years to develop them and have them to have an impact on your team. And, that we've kind of lost our way with that. Here's a few tweets right here from Nick Underhill, just kind of run through this thing. The Saints were visiting with Tennessee players, running back Dalen Sampson and defensive tackle Amari Norman Lott. So they're doing their due diligence. The Saints are everywhere handling business. As far as that concerned, they're expected to have many of the top people at the Ole Miss Pro Day. This is tomorrow, where Jackson Dart will throw, and also you have Trey Amos, and there'll be several other players from Ole Miss that'll be there, but there'll be a lot of people in the Ole Miss Pro Day looking at Jackson Dart. This is where I think the Saints' future at the quarterback position reside, without you having to give up anything to go and get him. Why him? Why a quarterback? Kellen Moore wants a quarterback. That's very obvious. And the energy around there is that they're looking hard at some of these quarterbacks. I don't think Cam Ward is going to be the guy. Shedeur Sanders, possibly, depending on where he slides to, but definitely Jackson Dart. He will be there unless somebody just says, "Land, we got to have him." But at 9, I really do think he'll be there. The only question is, do the Saints see him as a 9th overall draft pick? I mean, the guy can throw the ball. He is smart. He is a dual threat guy. He has really solid athletic ability. And there's a premium on dual threat quarterbacks in the NFL. As we see, some of the best teams in the NFL has such a quarterback that has the ability to throw the ball. He can make all the throws. He has a little gunslinger in him that you have to work with. But outside of that, he's very decisive. He'll pull that, but if you don't see anything, he'll take the hell off. He can run around you, or he can run through you. He's 6'3", 230-something odd pounds. And he piled up a ton of yards at Ole Miss, and that's Lane Kiffin's wide open system that he operated. But he did a really good job there. Him being close at Ole Miss, could this be where the Saints reside? The last time the Saints took an Ole Miss quarterback in the first round, y'all knew who it was. Who was it? Y'all put it in the chat. The last time the Saints took a Ole Miss quarterback in the first round, baby. Could you imagine the skinning and grinning that old fella gonna be doing if that happens, right? You'll see that he'd be doing a lot of skinning and grinning. But yeah, this is where I think the Saints logically might land if they're looking for a quarterback. This could be the guy. I mean, we'll know when April comes around. Also, like I said, man, we talked about that. Shout out to Nick Underhill. He did mention the fact that the 6'5" massive tackle Williams is there as well. And it's just a few things. Also, the Saints did. This is the kind of a tracker list of some of the people that the Saints did take a look at. Offensive tackle Josh Connerly Jr. from Oregon. Offensive tackle Orente Ursay from Minnesota. Quarterback Quinn Ewers from Texas, linebacker Nick Martin from Oklahoma State, cornerback Siobhan Revel Jr. from ECU. The big physical cornerback would be awesome. Don't know where he exactly goes. Maybe probably a day 2 selection with him. Has a lot of skill there. We could use a guy like that. Like I said, it's a lot of ways the Saints can go, and it's going to be one of probably the most interesting drafts from New Orleans that we've seen in a while. And tight end Thomas Fadone from Nebraska. That's some of the guys, and of course some of the other players that I did mention as well that the Saints are looking to. All right, here's also right here. Shout out to my guy Ross Jackson. He had a really good article on LouisianaSports.net. If y'all don't know about his site, check him out. He writes good articles over there. and he's pretty thorough on covering some of the Saints' good stuff. Saints host dinner with several Georgia players. In addition to New Orleans' ongoing tour of college pro days, the team is putting together an additional time to meet with players as they travel from school to school. On Wednesday nights, menu dinner with several players from a premier SEC program. Nick Underhill dropped the scoop. The Saints are having dinner with several Georgia players. And this happened yesterday. Among them was defensive end Michael Williams and wide receiver Arian Smith, and several of the very talented players that the Georgia team has. Now, like I said, Kellen Moore is a guy that comes from the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have made it a point to pinpoint and draft Georgia players. They have several players over there that they drafted over the last couple of years who are impact players for them, that have helped them in their run to the Super Bowl. Could some of that philosophy fall on Kellen Moore in looking at Georgia players? Could that be the case? I mean, it's worked for Philly, right? And obviously they've done a good job. Could they kind of steal some of that philosophy? Smith, on the other hand, is a lighter receiver. He's about 6 feet 179. He ran the fastest 40-yard dash in the combine at 4.39. He also has outstanding explosive metrics, a 38-inch vertical and a 10'7" broad jump. That's pretty good. You know, Williams, y'all already know about Williams. He's a phenomenal player, 6'5", 260-pound edge rusher, put up a lot of good numbers. Is a force. Could never go wrong with that. But like I said, at some point, the Saints have to kind of move past guys like Cam Jordan and all this kind of stuff. Cam, and I don't think he gives you, I mean, in terms of his, I don't know. At some point, we have to get people, defensive players that can get after the quarterback, because your defense ain't going to really be anything if you can't pressure the quarterback into mistakes and get after him. I think that's what Philly did to Kansas City. They brutalized Kansas City. They brutalized damn near everybody in the playoffs run. It was one very consistent thing about Philly from a defensive standpoint is that the defense was nonstop. They kept coming. The pass rushers raised hell on everybody they played. They make it difficult. They forced good quarterbacks into make bad decisions because pressure does that. And I would not be upset if Williams is the guy the Saints get at, because he's a guy that is really good at putting pressure on people. So these are a list of some of the players here. You see Williams, Arian Smith, Jelon Walker's another really good one. Josh Simmons, the offensive lineman. Egbuka, the wide receiver. Travion Henderson, Quishon Judkins. And this is some of these guys are Ohio State guys here that he got. Judkins, what's his name? Rutledge, Jared Wilson, Dylan Fairchild. I mean, Judkins, yeah. And what's his other kid? Malachi Stalks is also another good safety that I was looking at too. He's a player. He could play. All right, so you got a few players there, and this is the Saints taking some of these guys to the dinner, man. Several Georgia players, and hey, man, like I said, man, could they borrow? Could they borrow some of this, man? Could they borrow some of this from these guys, man? Could they? Because I know they had Judkins in there because he's in several players from Georgia and a few other guys from other places. Judkins is the phenomenal running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Him and Henderson are really two really good running backs right there. And even though Judkins the Saints might be looking at running backs like a Genty, like, man, listen, man. Y'all, we showed it on Patreon. If you take Quishon Judkins from Ohio State and put him in your offense, the dude is awesome, man. I love his tape. I think the only other running back, and there's several really good ones, the kid from North Carolina. I think the tape that I really like the most is the kid from Arizona State, Scatterbo. Love how he runs. He runs like with a chip on his shoulder, 5'9", 200-something odd pounds. Catches the ball. He just is a spark plug. But I love what Quishon Judkins does. So the Saints they're in the right room if they talking to those type of players, to be honest with you, man. So that'll be pretty good. And of course, we did make mention of the fact that Ashton Genty, the Saints running backs coach Joel Thomas, did go and have dinner with him. And of course, here is the Saints depth chart currently in terms of the running back room. Elvin Kamara is the starter. The backups are Kendre Miller, Jordan Mims, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Xavier Valladay. So both Jordan Mims and Valladay are undrafted guys or guys that are inexperienced. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there, and Kendre Miller has to stay healthy to at least see if he can be counted on. At one point, he was seen as a potential heir to Alvin Kamara, but 2 injury-plagued years kind of dulls that thought. And then the next thing is, as you go into year 3, could he stay healthy? That's the question. The question if Kendre Miller is not about talent, we know what he can do when he's healthy. It's not the talent, it's the ability to stay available. That's the thing that's really kind of hitting on him. So that might force the Saints to look at guys like Judkins or these other cats that's out here, man. Like I said, I wouldn't be mad at that at all, man, to be honest with you, because they got a lot of really good running backs in this draft that are just phenomenal, man. You guys will love Judkins. You'll love the kid from North Carolina. You'll love, what's the other guy? Like I talked about, Cam Scatterbo. There's Martinez from Miami. There are quite a few running backs that really could tear it up. So anyway, man, let's keep it moving, man. And I think that's pretty much all the latest stuff I got for you guys in terms of that. I don't want to carry it on too much further. I gave you the breakdown. But once again, going to that fact that the Saints have all of those draft picks, they still have $30 million in cap. A lot of people thought that they were clearing movement so they can be able to trade Derek Carr or release him or something like that. And I've been saying I just don't believe that, because that's not what Mickey Loomis wants. The only way Derek Carr gets out of here is when his contract expires. And when they read him up and gave him this and read up his money, and then his dead cap hit at $70 million or $69 million, might as well round it to 70. you stuck with him. Who gonna trade for that? What fool gonna trade for him? You had a chance to get from up under him, and ultimately it did not work. All right, Black Preacher Man, thank you, sir. Shout out to you. He says, what about cornerback? He says, what CB lost both starters we had for 3 years? He says, what CB, bro? I kind of understand. He says, what about cornerbacks lost both starters we had for 3 years? Oh, you talking about Paulson Adebo and Marshawn Lattimore? What about the cornerback position? Okay, I got you. Thank you, bro, for that.
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Yeah, the trade. You trade. Boy, that cornerback room looks different, don't it? You know, we were looking pretty damn good prior to the injuries. We had Lattimore. We had Laddie Daddy there. We had Paulson Adebo. We had Alontae Taylor there. The cornerback room was looking good. And then within a little bit of time, we trade out Lattimore, contract situation. Paulson Adebo, he goes to the Giants on a fat deal, and now you're down to Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry and Yidam and Ugo Amadi and Rico Payton. So how you feel about that? I would definitely say cornerback could be a position. They talked about a couple of people, to be honest with you, that could be there. I don't know if the top cornerback in the draft will be there. From Michigan, I don't know if he'll be there, but like I said, that's a position you might have a point on that, brother. When you take a look at it, that Black Preacher Man, and kind of look at that thing, man, you might have a point on that, brother. You might the cornerback position, because all it takes is one injury and then you scurrying around, isn't it? We thinking we all good, and then when injuries start tearing them up, and they do it every year, they really do. If you think about it, injuries start hitting on those guys, and then next thing you know, you scaring around and looking around in the pool, in the practice squad players. You're looking at other people practice squad to see who you can get. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that. Whether it's Will Johnson or Jahdae Barron, guys like that, they have a bunch of really good ones in there. Amos from Ole Miss, what's the guy name? Porter from Ohio State's another really big cornerback. Shavon Rebel Jr., we talked about him as well. So it's quite a few people. Thomas from Florida State, nobody really talking about him. He got good tape. So I mean, like I said, it's your picks and chooses of who you want. Even Zay Alexander's another guy from LSU. I think he'll be more of like maybe a day 2, day 3 pick, but he has good value. Denzel Burke, You know, he's another talented guy from Ohio State. Saints like to pick the apples there still. I mean, but yeah, the cornerback position, man, you can always pick at him. If Will Johnson's there, man, or Jahdae Barron, these are really phenomenal players, man. These are game-changing type defensive backs to have that. And of course, Will Johnson is a big physical cornerback, so he has the size that you would like. And Jahdae is not as big as him. He's a little smaller, 5'11", but he won that award for the best cornerback in college last year. Jahdae Barron did out of Texas. And they had a now rock solid secondary, man. They were really sticking the pain to those guys. Thank you, Black Preacher, man. Hope everything going good with you, my brother. Much love. Thank you. All right. Big ups to you. What's up, Claude? Shout out to Claude, man. Says, Q, what do you think about Genty? I think he's phenomenal. A game changer. I don't know if we'll end up with him. That's the thing. I think somebody else probably will end up getting Genty before we get him, bro. You know, like I mentioned, the Raiders are looking at him hard. You know, they got Geno Spit there and Pete Carroll's there. So he's going to need a do-it-all running back. And why would you not, you know, if you them, why would you not reach to Ashton Genty? Why would you not? But like I talked about, it's a bunch of other guys. And Hampton's not a Genty. A Genty's awesome. Omarion Hampton is phenomenal. But there, like I said, it's a lot of really good running backs, man. So many really good. DJ Gittens. I forgot to mention Gittens. I forgot to mention Caleb Johnson. I forgot to mention, what's the guy name? What's his name? I mentioned Judkins. Judkins is one of my favorite. Neal, Devin Neal from is it Kansas? I think it's Kansas that he's from. It's a few guys, man. It's actually pretty. Martinez for later on. So it's a bunch of really good players that's out there, man. But Genty's phenomenal. All right, yeah. Yeah, Gundam says he loves the kid from, the running back from LSU. Yeah, we'll see where he goes, man. Very talented as well. Had a good pro day. 504 Cole says, Q, I believe a Cam Ward thing could be smokescreen. I believe we really want Shador. I agree with that, bro. And it really is a thin veil of smoke when you figure out what the Titans want for you to trade with them. And like I kind of showed early in the broadcast, the Titans want 3 first-round draft picks from the Giants to move up to 1. And the Giants are closer to where they are than the Saints is. So if they want 3 for 1, 3 first-round picks from them where they are, what the hell they want from you at 9? So no. And like I said, if it came down to the 2, if I had an opportunity I would pick Shador Sanders. I would. No disrespect to Cam Ward, but realistically speaking, Shador has been ahead of Cam Ward this entire time. And like I alluded to say, the only reason he jumped ahead of him is because Ward did what they wanted him to do, and Shador did not. That's the reason why they got him up there, because nothing changed. Shador, it wasn't a big gap in between the talent, but Shador was always ahead of Cam Ward. He was always ahead of him. You watching him the whole season long, he was always ahead of him until the combine. I'm like, what happened? Did he get hurt? No, he didn't get hurt. He just didn't participate, and that's their way of punishing him for that. All right, Lewis says, I don't see it in Dart, not over Rattler. Well, that's a Kellen Moore, commentary, bro. Not really surprising, is it though, Lewis? You have had a different offensive coordinator over the last 3 years, and every time each offensive coordinator selects their own quarterback. When Pete the Rat Carmichael was running things, he took Laughing Boy from Fresno State. What's his name? Jake Hayner. When Clint Kubiak, the doll Clint Kubiak, was running the team, he took Spencer Rattler from South Carolina. And now with Dougie Nussmeier running the team, his offensive unit, and Will Kellen Moore over the squad, they'll take their guy. And like I said, I think Shador Sanders, excuse me, if he's there at 9, I think that would be a good move. If not him, Jackson Dart. They're looking at Jackson Dart hard, bro. Just putting that out there. Yeah, that's right. It's Archie. If that's what I'm saying. The last time the Saints took a quarterback, it was out of Ole Miss in the first round. It was Archie Manning. He was talented. They just didn't build a team correctly around him. What's up, T Dirty? Shout out to you, my brother. Appreciate you for being in the stream, man. Much love to my dog, T Dirty. Big ups to you. What's up, Slim? Shout out to you, man. All right, big ups to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all, man, being in the stream. Dominic says, you see the 6'7", 200-pound wide receiver that ran the 4.2. What's his name? What's that guy? Put his name in the chat, bro. You say, Brenton say you heard, Brandon say you heard Cleveland Browns trading for Dak Prescott. I don't believe that, bro. That might be some lying going on there. Chantel says, not from you. It's probably a bad rumor. Chantel says, Q, did you see that crazy contract Myles Garrett got? That's insane. Yes, indeed. But, you know, he was saying that he wanted to get, he was saying that he wanted to get out of he wanted to get out of Cleveland. And the only way to keep him in is you got to pay him. Got to pay me to stay, baby. And they paid him, too. They gave him a handsome contract. And now y'all happy. All that losing didn't go away overnight. But the money appeases the losing, I guess. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Marley Mall says Moore is tied to Carr this year, so he needs to realize that. Yes, indeed, man. Yeah, each year we've seen this over and over again, fam. Over the last 3 years, this has been the thing. What's up, Mad Drummer? Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you as well. All right, Professor. What's up, Professor? Professor says, Sam, yeah, from running back. Yeah, we talked about him. The Saints looking at that kid. He's actually pretty good, man. Yeah, Dale and Sampson. Yeah, from that. He kind of diminutive though, bro. He's a little guy, but he got a lot of spark to him. You know, he had what is it? Yeah, I know he had a bunch of touchdowns there. You know, like 20 something. I don't remember how many he had, but I know it was in the 20s in terms of his touchdowns, his rushing touchdowns. I think it was like 20 something. He was on the map. He's a small player, about I know he's less than 5'9" or something like that. I know he's a little player. So, you know, we'll see how it go, man. We'll see. Yeah, but yeah, Professor putting on his shout out to the Professor, man. He putting on his scouting cap. He's looking at all these guys. Excuse me, fam. Exactly. Q, to me, Shador intangibles are off the chart. Number one Q. Yeah, he is. He's been that's the thing, man. I'm not swayed by what the NFL was saying, man. All right, Tyrone Broden. Yeah, Tyrone Broden. Yeah, see that there, man. That's gonna be. Hold on, I heard that name before. Let me look this guy up right quick. Might turn him into the NFL's fastest tight end. You never know with a size like that, but he beanpole thin though. I'm gonna have to look him up, bro. I'm gonna have to look him up. Broden, yeah, I'm gonna have to look him up. All right, thank you for that, bro. I'm gonna look him up. T. Roy says we need to grab that big D tackle from Florida. He will fit good in the system. You talking about what's his name? I mocked that guy, bro. You on the last mock that I did for our Patreon family members, he was the last pick of the mock draft that I did that he fell to me. You talking about Cam Jackson, 6'6", 330 pounds. Yeah, 6'6", 330 pounds, but he don't move like he's not the world's fastest guy. He's not a pass rusher, but if you put the film on, and I was able to gather film while I was talking about the breakdown. That's why I like doing those, because you can see the player in live time what he's doing, and it's pretty good, man, to be honest with you. All right, yes, Mason Taylor will be a good Saint. Yeah, Mason Taylor did a good job at the pro day as well. What's up, brother Devon? Shout out to you, man. All right, appreciate you, bro. All right, yeah, much love, man. Y'all got, let me see if I think I missed a few questions. If y'all got any questions, throw them in the chat. Like I said, I wasn't trying to hold y'all guys too much longer into next week. But yeah, indeed, man, we got a lot to do in terms of what they're looking at, but in terms of what we seeing. Thank you, Muse. Shout out to Muse for the cash out. Much love to you, Queen.
Say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
All right, shout out to the fam, man, for y'all. We be ending up in this thing, man. Listen, it's pretty awesome, man, to say the least, in terms of draft time. A lot of things. This could turn a lot of stuff around. Like I was asking you guys in a couple of previous shows, how do you guys feel about the Saints free agency up to this point? Because really it's going to slow down to a crawl now, as they have now turned and completely focused on the draft in late April. So how do you guys feel about it? A lot of B grades was given. I had to poll up about what would be your grade for the Saints in free agency. A lot of B grades. The Justin Reed signing was solid. Them getting the trade to get Devin Gacho from New England to play at that nose tackle position was big. I'm excited about the defensive shift to the 34 look. I'm really interested to see how how Chase Young and Carl Granderson will play linebacker. I'm looking forward to seeing that. And also how the Saints will build the 3 men up front. We know Devin Gotcha will probably be the interior tackle, but who will be the other guys? Should it be Cam Jordan? I would even say that I would prefer Brian Bresee on one side, and if you kept Bing Saunders, let Bink play the other side and put Cam on the bench. That's what I actually would like that. Because really, that's a very interesting look if you think about it, fam. If you think about that 34 look, the Saints have, and plus you got, oh my goodness, you got Tyrann Mathieu Reed there, and the Saints got one of the top cornerbacks in the draft and put them in the secondary. My goodness, man, defense could be off the chain, man. Defense could be something special. But that's what intrigues me, man, the most is to see how that scheme changed. Now, as far as the Saints getting anything else done offensively, I think we probably wait for the draft to see that, and they can go a number of any places right here because, like I said, the perceived areas of need, which was we're thinking about the tight end position, right? The tight end position. The Saints got like 4 tight ends there. You know, we thought Taysom Hill could be in trouble, not in trouble, but you thinking Taysom Hill could be a person that could end up being, traded or all this kind of madness. But in the end, there was no such thing. Taysom Hill is going to ultimately get healthy, and he will contribute from the tight end position. But that's not saying you shouldn't take a tight end, but one might not be taken as early as you perceive him to be. Because if you look at the Saints' current depth chart, it shows you that a developmental tight end would definitely work for you because Taysom Hill contract expires after this year, so does Foster Monroe, and you'll just be stuck with Jawan Johnson. So, and Jack Stahl, I think he's a 1-year agreement. So you lose those guys after this season. So having a developmental tight end that you pick up in maybe day 3, because they'll have quite a few of them there, would be a good selection. I still advocate for the Saints to get another wide receiver. If Ted McMillan is still on the board, where you at 9, I say you take him. If Campbell is there at 9, you take him. I don't think Ted's going to be there at 9, but if Campbell is there, I take him. And, all the foolishness about him being, his arms being too short and all this madness, and then him saying that he'll even play the tackle, he'll play the guard position if need be. If Campbell is there, you take him. Because whether you kick him inside or outside, that guy will play for you for 10 years. So building, we still need depth on offensive line. We still could use a playmaking wide receiver. Futuristic quarterback. I like Spencer Rattler, but Kellen Moore might want somebody else, right? So offensive line is still a thing. So I want to say probably this will be kind of looking more offensive than defensive, maybe more offensive picks than it. Being the Saints have so many draft picks, they can probably trade some of these picks and move around and get guys that they want. I don't see them trading or drafting every one of these draft picks. I can see them having some movement going on as well. So yeah, like I said, we got the depth chart up there. So, running back of the future could be a thing. If Kendre Miller can't stay healthy, then what happens? So how do you feel about Velus Jones? I forgot to mention Velus Jones along with the rest of the runners because he's listed as a running back, even though the Saints will be using him in different areas. Still a little shaky on our wide receiver room. I think we're more top heavy there than what we need to be. The offensive line depth needs to be improved. And perhaps from a linebacker standpoint, we need to start, we need to perhaps look at the next linebacker in the draft to replace Demario Davis, who is going after this year. We'll have safeties, family. How about Xavier Watts from Notre Dame in day 2? Or in day 2. Xavier Watts, fantastic player. They have some really solid safeties there. What's the kid? Ransom from Ohio State's another good one. So, there's a bunch of, there's so many players out there. The Saints miss on this draft. Y'all go find Mickey Loomis and get a spike back and a bat and go to work on them. That's what I tell you, baby. Go to work on them. Mad Drummer says, I'm going to be honest, Q, I think the draft is going to have a major plot twist, LOL, for the Saints. Okay, but tell us what the plot twist is, my brother. Let us know. Let us know on that joke. 504 says, you think that Cook's move was made because Olave's trade is imminent? I really hope not, Brand. I think I want Chris Olave to stick around. I like Chris Olave. I just think the Saints need to do him right. I know that there's some friction there between him and Derek Carr because Carr, he a guy that he wants to be cool with you off the field, but when the game gets going, he'll betray you. He'll blame you for routes that's not, he ran the wrong route and you actually was the one that threw the wrong pass. You see what I'm saying? He did that. So how let's we come to the house and let's pray and let's eat steaks and all that shit. And when the game happens, see what I'm saying, man? The people they don't remember none of that, man. They don't remember none of that, man. Chris Olave, of course Chris Olave don't like him. He threw him that hospital ball. And like, oh, well, that's just, that's a regular NFL pass. And quarterbacks came out and says, nah, man. No, you supposed to look out for your quarterback. How he didn't know that? Why he didn't take that? Originally, later on, he took the blame because the pressure came. Then he was forced to. That's not a leader. That's not a leader. You don't hang, and that's what I'm saying about the guy. Ball placement. I think the guy is it's just I don't see him improving because he's not real enough to look at his mistakes. Man, you gotta look in the mirror, man. If you want to change, really change, you cannot be afraid to look in the mirror. You gotta look in the mirror. You gotta own it. That's when the change happens. You gotta own it and say, hey man, that's on me. I did that. It's on me. That's self-improvement when you recognize your own errors without people telling you. That guy don't do that. He don't do it enough. You're nobody's leader if you can't do that. You blaming him for running the wrong routes and dude, what did you do? What? No. So yes, is some dislikeness right now. He gave him a hospital ball, had him carted out of there on a cart to a hospital. I know he wasn't trying to kill him, but at the same time, you've been in the league for 12 years. You know not to put that goddamn ball there. But in the end, that's why I say a lot of people and that's why you don't hear from him. You don't hear from Derek Carr. Since he redone his contract, all this stuff that happened with the Saints. You ain't heard not one hide of hair from him. Not one high. He's supposed to be the team leader, for goodness sakes. You hadn't heard anything from him. And listen, if you did, you probably wouldn't want to hear from him. You're probably right on that. So I'm going to just leave it right there. Just leave it right there. Because you're probably right. Now, damn well, Q, you don't want to hear from his ass. Yeah, you know what? You're right. You know what? You're absolutely right. I don't want to hear from him. But I don't know, bro. I don't know. The Cooks move don't make sense unless that could be a possibility. Him on being on the trade block. Because to me, I'm like, this don't make any sense. Brandon Cooks, right? You got Rashid Shaheed. You got the speed component there. You need a big wide receiver with speed to complement Chris Olave. So I mean, it does make sense if that is indeed the truth. But I hope they do not trade him. I just hope that they perceive this as they're looking at running 4 wide receiver sets, but you give them $6 million, $13 million for 2 years to do it. So we'll see, bro. All time will tell. It will tell. What's up, Young City? Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you. We'll see, fam. I hope it's not the truth, man. I really don't, because I like Chris Olave. He should stay the summation. All right, Chantel says, Q, I know with the second pick under Tennessee, Cleveland is locked on drafting Shedeur Sanders. Are they? Are they locked in on him? Are they? I know Deshaun Watson, man. That was they threw after bad on that one, man. That just that it would make sense because it would make a lot of sense if you're Cleveland, because the draft the top 10 selections run Tennessee first, the Browns are second, the Giants are third, and think about this. Like I said, the Titans want 3 first rounders from the Giants that are at the 3rd position in the draft to move up to number 1. And the Saints sitting at 9. So what would the Saints have to give up? 4 first-round picks to move up for Cam? Oh, absolutely not, man. I'm not doing that. Who you think you got there? Joe Montana Jr.? The guy is good, but I'm not giving up 3 first-round picks for him. Come on. You know, Cleveland's number 2. 3 is the Giants. 4th are the Patriots. 5 is the Jags. 6 is the Raiders. 7th is the Jets. I know, and before us is Carolina, and then the Saints are 9. And I care not who's 10th. I think that's Chicago. Might be the Bears. I'm gonna have to look it up. It's either the Bears or the Niners. Y'all maybe might have to just look the damn thing up, but it's either one of those two. All right, thank you, Shantae.
Say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
All right, Julia says, would you resign Olave with all those concussions? Well, I mean, if the damn quarterback, well, I ain't gonna say that, bro. But I mean, Chris Olave had his share of issues this year and the last year. But I see a lot of value in Chris Olave. I think he can get around that. I think the Saints were kind of using him. Like, look, the way they was, both of those guys got hurt. You know, you had Rashid Shaheed that they were using at the 2 and Olave at 1. I just don't think that's the correct position to be using those players in. And then you seen him got hurt, he got hurt, Rashid got hurt, and they were overusing those guys, like especially Rashid Shaheed. Remember, they was trying to force the deep ball throw. It wasn't organic. They couldn't set up the play action right. And they was trying to force feed the ball down to Rashid Shaheed. He was throwing these balls and Rashid Shaheed was getting hit. And then they started doing the Taysom Hill thing when they overused him. Clint Kubiak was a moron, man. He was such a moron, man. Such a lazy, bum-ass play caller, man, who didn't even know his own personnel and would just consistently, competitively overuse players, even to the point where they would get hurt. He was such a bum-ass caller, man. And that's one of the things I pinpointed from that guy from when we started seeing these games happen. I was like, man, this dude don't know how to use other guys. Like, you're not supposed to just use, you got Alvin Kamara or Taysom Hill, but you're supposed to use the presence of Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill to create opportunities for guys that's up under them. The guys that's not the Elvins, that's not the Taysoms. You see what I'm saying? You're supposed to be able to create opportunities for these other guys, for the others. Decoying Elvin, decoying Taysom or Chris or these other guys. They work together because the mindset and the idea is you can't guard all of them. You don't have enough players to guard all of them. So you basically, what I'm telling you is from an offensive standpoint, pick your poison because you can't stop. You're not going to be able to stop this guy back here or this guy over here. So pick your damn poison. That's the point. That's the bottom line. But we didn't get that. We got 2 games, and then when they figured out what he was about, it was crap for the rest of the year. And that's the thing. You cannot overuse these players. You have to be able to use them in unison and harmony to be able to feed off of each other and create opportunities for each other. You can't do that kind of garbage. But we did, and that's why we wasn't so successful. But let Mickey tell you it was injuries. Saints for Life says Olave is probably on his way out. His name has been in multiple trade talks. That's not good. Olave contract is up in 2026. Saints paying him 18 to 20 million. Oh, yeah, this is a good point. Saints for Light and Julius mentioned concussions and the fact that his contract up and the fact that his brother is on social media being unhappy. And I'm pretty sure Chris Olave would probably tell his brother to shut up if he wasn't telling the truth. So he's obviously he kind of voicing some frustrations of his brother. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it. Because I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for that other man. But if you're talking like that, I'm pretty sure if he didn't believe in that message, he would have told you to stop doing that. So obviously, whatever this is what he's saying is some truth to it. It's a lot of truth to it, and I believe him. So you guys could probably have something there. Me personally, I like Chris Olave at the right price, and hopefully he can stick around. But you might have a point on that, fam. And that would make some sense. While Cooks is back here again. And that would make a lot of sense. That would make sense if Chris Olave was a guy that they're looking at trading on, and that would make sense. That would make sense. That would definitely make sense. So you guys, I appreciate y'all dropping that. Yeah, Julius says trade him. All right, thank you, Julius. He's damaged goods. All right, brother, thank you for that. Tyrell says Q. Carr is a quality backup masquerading as a starter. He has no pocket presence. Doesn't try to progress through his reads and is a check down machine. I'm over that dude. Everything you said deserves a hand clap, brother. I'll give you a round of applause for that. All right, give that man a round of applause there because
He ain't lying.
everything he said was 100% true. Let me hit the button on that.
Talk, boy.
Absolutely, man. Everything you said was 100%. And people that like Derek Carr, look, don't get it misconstrued, man. You just have to watch the film and don't watch highlights. Go back and watch entire games like the last 2 years of Saints football. You'll see everything what Brother Tyrell is saying is true. Now, the 150, like I said, man, that's the main thing that got him hammed up is he got $150 million contract and your team ain't even close to the playoffs. And I think he feels it with Dennis Allen. He felt safety because Dennis Allen would have did everything he can to protect him. But with a new quarterback, a new coach here, you don't have the same loyalty. The guy only accepting you because of the only guy believing him is the general manager. You might have a few players on the team that like him, but you got to earn the respect of these guys. And winning, it earns you respect. Getting paid $150 million and you pile up a bunch of losses. I think he's a couple of wins over 500 as a starter. That's not what we wanted this money to go for. We wanted to be competitive. So at the end of the day, man, he doesn't go through his reads. That's why he checks the ball down, because if you don't progress, you don't look at all of your options from left to right, spanning the field. If you don't look at your options, you're going to check that goddamn ball down. That's why you're checking the ball down. You're not going through your options. You're looking at half the field and you're cutting your options in half. That's what's going on. And he consistently does that. That's the thing that floors me about Derek Carr's game is Derek Carr refuses to progress. And when he does do it, by some miracle, he makes a decent pass that surprises you. I mean, like, damn, that was a good pass, Derek. And then he comes back and do the same bullshit he did, Look at the whole field. That's what they tell these quarterbacks. He doesn't do that consistently. If you watch the tape, he hikes the ball and starts staring left the whole damn time. You got guys over here running and running his little life away trying to make he breaking it down. You know what I'm saying? Shook the guy out of his shoes. He got he guarded by one dude. Ain't no safety support over there. Derek Carr standing over here the whole time. It happened all the time. And then when he don't see what he likes on that side, then he checks the ball late, and then the defender's right there to stop Alvin Kamara. What does it matter to him? Hell, it counts as a completion. It drives up his completion rate, and that's the same bullshit that the people say that like Derek Carr. Well, his completion rate, Q, is 68 per whatever it is. But they negate to tell you that he checks the ball down 5 to 7 times a game. So that's 5 to 7 completions a game. You're not winning any games, but his completion percentage stays intact. It's a real good con game you got going there. But, brother, for people that study film and tape, you ain't fooling nobody. You ain't fooling nothing over here. I just being honest with you. All right. Madra says, should we trade a Olave? Do you see him see us doubling up on wide receiver in the draft like top wide receiver? If you trade Chris Olave, you better go land Ted McMillan. You go land Ted. If you trade Chris Olave, go get Ted. And you should see if you can double up in the draft. If you can get Savion Williams and Ted McMillan in the same draft, I would do that. Could you imagine? Because they're looking at Savion as a day 2 pick. So if I can land Ted, because that's the thing. If Ted McMillan, I will go up to get Ted McMillan because he's phenomenal. That is a star wide receiver that elevates your offense in many different ways. He's 6'4", big wide receiver, has really good speed, excellent catcher of the ball, really intelligent, good route runner. He elevates your offense, gives you a bona fide star wide receiver in the making. I will grab at him. Then later on, I will see if I can go get Savion Williams from TCU. And that's what I would, and that's how I would empower my wide receiver room. If I do that and we trade Chris Olave, I'm no disrespect to Chris Olave, but that would I'll be smiling about that. You got Savion and Ted McMillan in the same draft, man. You got to consider that a win, bro, for your offense. That is a win to have those power players on your team. But if they got the imagination, they can pull it off. But yeah, it might be time, bro. What's up, Carlton? Shout out to Carlton, man. Good to see you. Yeah. I know Jabo went to the Giants. So did Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson said that he expects to be the starter. So it's going to be interesting how that works. All right, and before I go, fam, let me throw a little curveball in this thing too. I wanted to show you guys this right here, and this is and I want to hear what you guys think about this. Y'all put it in the chat. This was some back and forth that was happening between Shannon Sharp and the cornerback Asante Samuels about Deion Sanders, and Deion Sanders got involved. This is some of the discussion that's going on right now between these guys, and I'm gonna play this little video right here breaking it down. Put one in the chat.
Nobody will ever say Asante Samuel and Deion Sanders in the same breath.
All right, man. If you've been living under a rock, Deion Sanders recently went on NFL Network and I wouldn't say denounced the T-step, but he said it was stupid to do. And Asante Samuels has responded, who is known for the T-step. And then he proceeded to post their career stats next to each other to show a zone cornerback, not really a man-to-man, and a shut-down man corner.
Now, the idea of this intrigued me because Deion Sanders is Deion Sanders. We know it. That is an established fact. It's not brainwashed because I heard what Asante said. I'm going to finish playing the rest of this in a minute, but I'll be urgent to hear y'all takes on this about this. But this is very interesting because Asante Samuel was a very good cornerback for a long time. But I doubt that many people would consider him in the same conversation with Prime Time. That was just Prime Time is just another level. But the stats are interesting, and that's what Asante Samuel is attempting to do. He's attempting to jar the discussion about, putting stats next to stats. And this is what he did. Now he says, now here's your yearly reminder. Now let's hear the excuses. Hashtag pick six, hashtag T-step king. He said, Deion Sanders, that's 188 games, 53 interceptions, 5 playoffs interceptions, 2 Super Bowls. Asante Samuel, 153 games, 51 interceptions, 7 playoff interceptions, and 2 Super Bowls. So it's very, respectful or, very interesting stats that you put there. But at the same time, man, does that change your vantage point on who's the best? Now let's finish it up.
He did not stop there.
Only thing y'all saying when he's a man-to-man corner, he can't do nothing else. So if that's all you can do is play man-to-man, that's what y'all want. Somebody that could just press. What about when the coach want to call another type of defense? You got to move him out.
So my question to y'all is, if you were picking your team today and you could have either one of these two players right here, a shutdown man corner or a zone corner, which one would you take?
Nobody will ever say Asante Samuel and Deion Sanders in the same breath.
All right, man.
All right. So, hey, let me hear from y'all, man. What y'all think about this, man? It's a very interesting discussion, man, about it because Deion Sanders kind of made fun of the T-step. And Asante Samuel swears by it. And obviously, like Asante Samuel, me personally, my opinion is that Deion Sanders is iconic at the cornerback position. You literally didn't throw on that side of the field. If you're talking about interceptions, Primetime got a lot of picks. But remember, there were games where they did not throw to Deion Sanders' sides because he was over there. Quarterbacks would literally avoid throwing to Sanders' side. So is it really fair to talk about what interceptions were when the quarterbacks themselves were avoiding throwing to your area of the field? That's crazy work to me. And the shutdown cornerback, Shannon Sharp is right. The shutdown cornerback tag, that's Deion Sanders, man. That's prime time, baby. You know, prime time. I mean, he like I said, he's saying his brainwash all this and that there. Hey, bro, listen, man. You it's different levels, and I think it feels disrespected that he's not considered one of the top cornerbacks up there. But you might want to go aim a little lower, brother. You might want to go talk to, he going right at Deion Sanders, man. You might want to have an argument with Eric Allen or somebody. You don't go argue with no prime time, man. He did that all for talent. And what prime time was saying about the T-step is he didn't need to do that. He got right up there, and he had God-given ability. Is what Deion Sanders had. He had God-given ability. He didn't have to play off you and walk up and back, all this kind of stuff. He got right there, and then you take off. He running right with you, and then he had an extra gear or two when he needed to turn it on to go get that ball. Because what Deion Sanders would do, he would bait those quarterbacks. He got bored out there and would bait them. He would let the quarterback think that the wide receiver was getting the best of him and beating him, and then he'll just kick into an extra gear and run and go get the ball. That's what he was doing out there when he got bored because they wouldn't throw into his side. So, I mean, it's a very interesting conversation. I don't think it's not nearly in the same stratosphere. Let me see what y'all say about it, man. All right, Saints for Life says Q, Tyler Warren or Savion Williams. Damn, that's a tough one, man. I would go with Savion, though, bro, because you can use Tyler Warren in different ways. Savion Williams, I would have to say him, bro, because he was lining up Savion Williams was lining up he was throwing touchdown. He was throwing QB passes. He was operating like a running back, a wide receiver. TCU was having him all over the field. His no disrespect to Tyler Warren, I think Savion Williams could see the field a lot faster than Tyler Warren. We kind of loaded at that position. Would be a good futuristic pick, though. All right. Saint for Life says Deion shut down his side to feel Ashante isn't the same players. Thank you, bro. OG says Q, with the schedule release coming soon in May, how many primetime games do you think the Saints will get next season? I hope none. I don't know, bro. The Atlanta game is going to be, anytime we play the Falcons, it's always must-see TV. So we'll obviously get a couple of games against the Falcons because the ratings are always good. And we might get a couple games, OG. I don't anticipate a lot. But then again, you never know. They'll start off, and then, they have that flex scheduling that kicks in later on in the year. So if they start doing something, they'll flex the Saints if they hitting on something. So we'll see, bro. He says, yeah, just give me a noon or 3 p.m. game Sundays, no Thursday night. Yeah, I know it disrupts things. I hear you, OG. I'm with you on that, bro. Keep it simple. All right. So yeah, let's see. Lewis says, I always felt the man coverage specialists are the best. They can easily come inside in the pinch, but you don't want to ask zone guys to go man too often. That's a good point. Saint for Life say corners that shut down his side of the field, you're not going to get stats for that. So it's the same. Ashante wasn't a shutdown corner. Good player, just not the same. Yeah, I think he's a little insulted that people not mentioning it. LM saying Saints could have signed Sanders, but he balked at the Saints. Offered, you talking about Deion back in the day? The Cowboys gave him a fat check. He walked right past the Saints. Saints were never serious about pursuing those guys. They always did the kind of the cheap man thing. 504 Coach says, come on, man. Prime, not only the best cornerback ever, he one of the best pure athletes ever in any sport. Yeah, you talking about guys in every sport, like you talking about guys that did great things in multiple sports like Bo Jackson, and these are phenomenal people, and they just had extra gifts that most people didn't have. And Deion Sanders was one of them dudes. He had it. He had the speed. He had the intelligence. He had the flamboyance. I ain't gonna say flamboyance, but he had that temperament. He knew he was good. And that's the thing about Deion Sanders that everybody respected, because when he knew he was a playmaker. He had that ambiance, that he knew he was the man. Even when he was young, he knew he was going to be a Hall of Famer. So yes, Ashante Samuel is he might want to go have an argument with Rod Woodson or Aeneas Williams Eric Allen, you might want to have an argument with them. Don't go don't go argue with Prime, brother. Yeah. He says Deion and Darryl Green. All right. Hoffa says Prime, one of the best returners. Also, that's right. He was an excellent return man. You couldn't catch him. Yeah, he said that was the knock on him. He wasn't not much of a tackler. That is true. Lee says, did Asante Samuel return kickoffs and punts? I don't know, y'all. I don't think so. I don't think he did. I could be wrong on that though. Hoffa says hopefully the Seattle game will be prime time because I will be in the building for that. All right. Jade says, Q, what do you think about Kellen Moore's first play call will be for the Saints in 2025? Play action. Let's see. Probably be a first call out the gate. It'll probably be a run play. A run play out the gate, right? Elvin Kamara running behind Tally Fuaga, a toss left. A toss left to AK-41 for a 15-yard gain. That'll be a good way to start the season off. Says it's huge. The Giants got Russ Wilson and James. Yeah, I know. That was very interesting for them to get that. They're definitely looking past the young quarterback, so to speak. Them guys want to win right now. That guy's Brian DeBoer's job is on the line. So he's just like, enough of these young guys. Let's just get these veterans in here. We need to win right now. All right, T-Roy says that boy better go sit down somewhere. Yeah, he picking a fight with a giant, bro. Come on. All right, prime time was Showtime like Devin Hester. He don't get enough love either. Devin Hester was one of the best return men ever. LM says Saints offer Sanders 4 years, $60 million, a lot of incentives. Yeah, he chose the Cowboys. Yeah. All right, we have to address linebacker room as much as we love DeMario. He's getting old. I agree with that. Jade says, Q, do you think Kellen Moore will be one of the best offensive coaches in the NFL one day? Yes, I think he will be. He has the temperament. He's a natural at it. I mean, a lot of people talked about his skyrocket to success and being a coach's son and understanding offensive principles. He visualized the game a lot different. A lot of the people that surround him see him. So him becoming a head coach and the youth, he got all the time in the world, man. A young coach like Kellen Moore and the right money and the people behind him being patient, man, he could be something special. And also, like I said, I got to give the Saints some credit because they did go outside of the norm in terms of hiring this guy. He's not from a Sean Payton tree and all this kind of stuff. So, that deserves some respect. Hoffa says, damn, Tech won. Yes, indeed. Saints for Life says Deion was starting right field baseball player while he was playing football. He was. Yeah, he was. He was playing for the Braves, if I'm not mistaken. And he went from the Braves to the Reds. Am I right here, y'all? Y'all let me know in the chat. I'm going simply off of memory here. But yeah, he was. But if you look at what Deion was to football and baseball, and what you look at a guy like Bo Jackson did it too. Bo Jackson played for the Raiders and the Royals. And Bo Jackson was phenomenal in baseball, and he was phenomenal in football before that injury ripped him down. So yeah, these guys were awesome people. I mean, players, period. T Dirty said, I think Kellen Moore will be better than, anybody would be better than Dummy Allen, bro. The possum, the human possum. Anybody would be better than him. Kellen Moore, that's a total opposite energy. Like, he's a youthful coach with, and I talked about vibrancy. I talked about innovation. That's one of the things I talked about. And he'll bring that. But it's just a matter of what vision the team has, because it's not going to be a walk in the park. He's never done this before as a head coach, so he would have to fall down a few times. He might have a couple of losing seasons here before he figures it out. It depends, what we got going on here, because like I said, man, it depends on the vision. Like, you start this season, now you just give them about $30 million. You're $18 million in the hole for 2026 already. And it'll be more once the rest of the contract numbers come through. You're already almost $20 million in the red for next year. Just like that. So you sold the future for the present. So hopefully the Saints, when you do something like that, that puts pressure on you to win right away. When you do that, when you mortgage the present for it's just ridiculous. But in the end, we'll see what they got going on. I don't know. We'll see how it all ends. Okay, he says you had Braves in the. Okay, good. Yeah, I remember. Saints for Life says only player in sports history that played World Series and NFL games. he was that dude. Indeed, bro. People forget about the great Bo Jackson, man. Bo Jackson was off the chain, man. He was an excellent player, man. Before that injury took him on up out of here. But anyway, listen, fam, we're going to get ready to get out on that, man. I appreciate all y'all for being in the stream tonight. I thank y'all, man, for all the fantastic things that y'all are doing. All right. Shout out to everybody, man. 504 Code, OG Jerry, Slim, T Dirty, Chantel. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, Black Major, for that as well. Much love. Everybody out there, much love to you guys. All right, I'm gonna get ready to get on up out of here, fam. Listen, I'm gonna holler at y'all on the next stream. Do me a service. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, feel free to share the show on your social media feed and help us out by checking out our sponsors, Mint Mobile, T. Chinley, and Bet Online. Links are in the description section below to help fund the platform moving forward. And just articles like this one here with the Deion Sanders thing. We're going to be testing stuff like that more for our TSC Unleashed segments that we'll be bringing around. We'll be talking about things outside of the Saints stratosphere that are still also entertainment and sport related. But love to get some of you guys' response on some of these other things that's going on in the fantastic world of sports and entertainment around us. A lot of crazy stuff going on. I'd like to hear from you guys about. So with that being said, I'm going to get on up out of here. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your night and a beautiful Friday to get your weekend started, baby. I'm going to holler at you on the next one. Much love. Who that to you? Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, 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 Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. For every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who That too.